I mean, dude, JP goes on and gets interviewed and says, and I'm getting goosebumps saying it, when all these people started chanting JP, and now every time he comes up, the crowd is JP, JP. And dude, it's like, that's what it takes.
What's up, Seattle? I've got a great friend of mine here at the office today, Paul. You may know him as the Stitchgod. Paul, how are you?
I'm wonderful today. I think the Mariners just won.
They just won.
Everything's great.
First question I've got for you. For those who don't know, what is Stitchgod? What's the idea behind that concept?
When I first made the Stitchgod like alter ego, the idea was to kind of showcase the cool things that I was like doing with the job that I was doing. And I was hiding I still do hide my face normally. But the idea of hiding my face was that who I am is not important. What I'm doing is what's important. And the jerseys and the interactions and all that kind of stuff is more important than who I am. I'm here to make sure that everybody has a good time. But also the stuff I'm doing I think is kind of cool too. And if you want to know who I am, find me somewhere and introduce yourself. So that's really how that went.
Absolutely. It's a great brand, and it's been great to get to know you as Paul and also as Stitchgod.
Thank you.
It's very cool. You put together something very, very neat. You're a big Mariners fan. I'm a huge Mariners fan as well. With the Mariners visual brand, as far as logos, colors, like what are your favorite looks the Mariners have had over their entire history?
So the turn ahead the clock jersey was sweet. That's I would call that one of that's probably like a top 5 look, because it was like the entire idea of not being anywhere near what the colors were at the time. I think that was like super cool. And then the sleeveless jersey and with the silver helmet, and like they were even when they just redid it a couple years ago, the fact that there was a couple guys wearing their hats backwards in the field, like I thought that was cool.
It really is interesting to reflect on how much the Mariners as a franchise had to do with that shift in baseball, like attitudes towards baseball, what we expected players, self-expression.
The guy who was the guy that was having fun, the first one ever was a Mariner, and I think that's cool, and that's why Julio is like, it's like the second coming of that, where it's like now the 2022 version of let's just go out there and have fun. This is a game. Let's go play it and win it and smile while doing it. I think that was invented in Seattle, and I think that's cool that it's staying here too.
I totally agree. Mariners had so much to do with that, and hopefully we're going to see a second coming of that kind of energy around the team. I got to ask you, so you grew up in Buffalo, New York,
yes, sir,
but were a Mariners fan from the get-go. How did that happen? How did you adopt the team? How did you become a fan of Seattle?
When I was a little kid, being in Buffalo, the Bison's farm were the farm team for the Indians at the time. Can I still say that?
I mean, at the time they were.
I guess they were the Indians at the time. There was a lot of people around me that were Indians fans, and there was a lot of people, because we got TBS, who were Braves fans. So when I was a little kid, it was Braves, and then it was Indians, but there was a lot of people that were Yankee fans, my grandfather being one of them, and my dad is a diehard Red Sox fan.
No way.
So anyway, when I get to a certain point where I'm starting to think on my own, I was probably like 10 years old, give or take. And I got a Sports Illustrated for Kids. I didn't have any kind of allegiance yet. And I read this article about this dude from Japan, and I was like, yo, I remember just being a little kid, like, this is cool. Like, this guy sounds cool. But I was also like skimming through it and pictures and whatever. I was 10 years old. I'm seeing Mariners. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm at my baseball, like, practice thing, and we're picking our numbers, and I couldn't remember what numbering were. I asked my dad, he's like 51. So that year I wore 51, and that was the year that they won 116 games. So I'm looking in the paper, I'm like, yo, they won again. And I was like, and I'll never forget it. This is a funny thing that my dad breaks the news to me in our backyard that, hey, we're gonna go up to Toronto to go see the Mariners play. And this is Ichiro's second season, and Edgar's still around at this point, and John Olerud, I loved him when I was a kid. So we drive to Toronto, which is very close to Buffalo, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Hour and a half. So we drive up there, and my dad had gone before, so he like knew where to park and stuff. So we get in there, dude, and I'll never. I mean, every moment of it sticks out to me. The picking out of my first hat, the trip around the stadium looking for a Klondike bar with my Uncle John, and we couldn't find one. As soon as we sat in our seats, the guy comes up the aisle, Klondike bar. he had already bought me an ice cream and bought another one. It was just like a very cool, like little kid moment that like sticks in your head like forever. So I say all that to say this. After an experience like that, it was all in. So when I'm next year, I'm 13, and I got the Edgar jersey and I got the Olerud jersey, which I still have both of them to this day. The first ones, some of the first ones that I had. And as I got older, the vibe of Seattle was attractive to me. And then I started getting into the music. And when I was like 14 or 15, I was like obsessed with Hendrix. And I was positive that there was something in the air in Seattle that I needed to get to.
Well, here we are. We're in Seattle. You're
Yeah.
here in Seattle. We're talking Mariners. Obviously, this season has been extremely special.
Yeah.
Especially for someone like me, someone like you. We haven't experienced playoff runs.
Yeah.
Never even tasted a playoff game. What do you think's been different this year? What's been special? What's helped the team click? Players, energy. What's different about this year?
I just think that you get a bunch of guys that, like I was saying before, you just get a bunch of guys that want to have fun and want to play. And I'll tell you what, I reflect back to last season. J.P. Crawford takes a walk. Mitch Haniger comes up, blasts that home run, dude. I remember thinking that, like, dude, this team is now got, because Seattle's a baseball town. I will say
100%.
that. I will say that.
We were talking earlier just about, traveling to baseball games,
Yeah.
seeing different ballparks. You mentioned that you've been to 19 different major league stadiums. So for all the ballpark nerds out there, can you give us like a top 5 real quick? Obviously, Safeco Field, T-Mobile Park is, right there at the top for both of us. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Okay.
quick rundown, top 5.
Without Safeco, because Safeco's number one. Say Oracle is great, where the Giants play. PNC, where the Pirates play, is wonderful. Even Progressive Field, the Jake, where the Guardians play now. I would say that it would go Oracle, PNC. I'm glad you brought up San Diego because I loved it there. That was awesome. So I'll say that's number 3. Fenway, just because of the history in it. And then I would say number 5, Nationals Park. I love it. That's my second squad too. So
It's an underrated pick right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Paul, as always, great to chop it up with you. Where can people find you at Mariners games?
So I'm above the team store for all jersey needs.